This morning, breaking the news about the FTC looking into possible violations of a 2011 consent decree relating to user data. Can you explain what is this? What was the 2011 incident under which Facebook may have violated its obligations?
Yeah, so the important thing to know here is that we have no federal data privacy law. So our agencies have their hands somewhat tied in how they look at these issues. But the FTC did put the Facebook under a consent decree in 2011 because it had previously allowed user data to be shared without getting consent from the users. And so now they're required, before they share any data with third parties, to make sure that people are able to give what they call explicit informed consent. So you have to be aware of what data they're going to be sharing, and you have to be able to say you're okay with it or you're not okay with it. So because they have Facebook under that consent decree, they can now look at the Cambridge Analytica situation and ask questions. What happened? Did Facebook violate terms of that previous agreement? And what did users consent to, and what did they know about how their data was being used? So that is going to take a little while. We understand that Facebook has received a letter from the FTC, according to our sources, and that it's short of a formal, full-fledged investigation, but they're starting to look into this matter and ask the questions about what happened.
And what, if any, enforcement teeth does the FTC have in a situation like this if the Facebook were found to be in violation of that decree?
Well, actually, because of the consent decree, they can now, if they find violation, they can fine them up to $40,000 a day per violation. So maybe it doesn't sound like that much, with a company that makes billions of dollars. But if you start to add up violations and days, it could quickly, run into the millions if they find a violation. So that's the big question.
$40,000 per day per violation, especially given Facebook's user base, that could be pretty hefty. Sarah Fryer in San Francisco, over to you now, because you had written a story about how Facebook was holding a town hall today. A Facebook legal counsel was briefing the employees. Tell us what you learned from that, because thus far, at least from the outside, we haven't heard from Mark Zuckerberg or Sheryl Sandberg, the top management at Facebook. So I'm curious to hear what the employees themselves got from senior management.
Right. So the employees themselves also did not hear from Mark Zuckerberg or Sheryl Sandberg in this particular meeting. It was the Facebook legal executive who wrote that blog post on Friday saying that they were suspending Cambridge Analytica. He went and did a meeting at Facebook's headquarters, which was broadcast to all employees via Facebook Live on an internal channel that explained what Facebook knew when and took employee questions. This is a very important constituency for Facebook to manage messaging with. Even more important, I would say, than lawmakers or the public, the employees that work for Facebook. This company runs a very tight culture ship. Their employees are not frequent leakers, they're not frequent critics, and we've really seen over the past year that a lot of former employees are speaking out, saying, we've created a monster, we regret what we built. Facebook needs to keep its employees informed and happy, and that's what they try to do today, but of course not from the top brass.
Sarah Forden, quick question here. We keep throwing around the prospect of future regulation on Facebook. How long between these initial discussions and any form of regulation at some point in the future? Just as an approximate time, are we talking?
Well, this is an unanswerable question. This is all about, how concerned lawmakers are in Congress, what they're hearing from their constituents. And so, a big issue is that we have seen people flocking to put all their most personal and intimate details on Facebook. And so the question here is whether we're going to see a shift in the tide of public opinion about how we want our personal information managed. So we know that Facebook is briefing 6 committees on the Hill in both houses of Congress starting tomorrow. They're going to be answering questions. The lawmakers are going to be hearing from their constituents. So the next step to watch is really to see, are we going to see new bills, new proposed legislation that tries to tackle these issues, which, as I said previously, have not been a big priority in Washington.